the information in a way that's appeasing to the user. So all of these little icons right here, these are all of our Coast Guard, our Sector Jacksonville assets, all these boats, but all these things are Coast Guard assets that are not associated with Sector Jacksonville. And then we're taking snippets from that OPSM and being able to put it in here to be able to create the view that the person wants. So Blue Force tracking is something that came about at Sector Jacksonville rather quickly. They wanted to know where all of our people were at all times. So we used this tool. We were able to fill out a survey. So you fill out this survey, and anybody has access to the survey. They fill it out, and once they fill out the survey, then it populates in here. So, you know, if Mr. Gilliard wants to go out, he just comes in here and he switches it to in progress, and then it goes down to here. Then when they're done, they just switch it and it goes down to mission complete for the day. So that's how we utilize that to keep track of our people. So we use this view to, we took all of the, well, we went on a search and we looked at all the public cameras in Sector Jacksonville, and we wanted to get it into one place. So we found all the YouTube videos, we found all these places where you need to log in, public source information, and we put it all in one viewing area. So like this is a good one. I always like to show this camera because it automatically pans and you can see all this stuff. So again, for command center use, this is very helpful. We overlaid the NAIS vessels, so in the case of something was going on in that area, we could look at that and then we could start identifying boats right here, right now. So I think we have like we have like 40 different cameras. So it's just a quick way to get eyes on a situation. And these are the areas where they're looking. This is our MARSEC level view. So God forbid we ever have to go MARSEC 2 or 3. These are all of the regulated facilities in Jacksonville, Fernandina, and Port Canaveral. So if Blunt Island reports that they have go MARSEC level 2, we can easily click into MARSEC level 2, put down notes, and we'll start getting a picture of what facilities are at what MARSEC levels. The other good thing about this is that anybody can go in here and make the edits. So we're all like going to the same spot to make those edits. The Hurricane Cop, talked about that already. Since we always have questions about our WQSB, this is a PDF that we put on here, and then we were able to put a link to the point of contact. So if something's wrong, they just click this and send the email to whoever needs to be. This is another Excel spreadsheet, how we keep track of our captain of the port orders. This space one was very helpful. So what's cool about this space one is these zones. This is another feed that's being pulled from somewhere, and it's being fed right into here. So these will, without having to do anything, these will automatically change. But for the Artemis 2 launch, it was really cool to see the boats come out, and then they were exactly where they needed to be. Mm-hmm. And then we have the vessel overlays, so we could see if there's any vessels going to go into those zones. This is a PDF right here that we update. So the command center owns the location of this PDF. So the command center goes in there and they'll change the PDF as needed. Let's see what else. So this is fishing vessels. And again, it's kind of the same idea. We're just the layers that are important to fishing vessels we put on this map. So if it's the contour lines for the regulatory 50 mile, 100 mile, the mileage zones that kick off new regulations, then we have it on here and we can easily see where somebody is in that zone. Like the Happy Jack here these contour lines will come up.
So it's all just live, but it's not historical data, right? So if you saw a fishing vessel go out and it disappeared, that couldn't be captured?
So they are working on like track lines in this product. Right now the track lines are in C-Vision. C-Vision is the product that holds track lines, but they are working on integrating track lines into this product, which would be very helpful.
Very helpful.
Yeah. So this view, there was an interest in Jacksonville to Puerto Rican trade. Of course, 90% of all imports and exports come from Jacksonville. So we were able to get a list of all the vessels that do that trade. So we have it all in one view. We can pretty much see where they are. So at any time, we did the same thing for the CCSSC vessels in Miami. And then over here is the LNG passenger vessel ones for Port Canaveral, so we have a good view of where each of these cruise ship vessels are. If we wanted to see what's in Port Canaveral, it's just an easy click. And as you can so anchorages, we did this for Miami as well, but this is all of our regulated anchorages in Jacksonville. So we can quickly see what boats are at anchorage at each one of our anchorages for maritime domain awareness. ATON viewer. So this pulls from the light list, the feeds from the light list, and populates all of the ATON that is responsible for the Jacksonville AOR. All of these shaded areas are the AORs for all of our assets like Aunt Jack's, Aunt Ponce. And what's cool about this is that the discrepant aids, as soon as it gets updated in the light list, it will populate here, and it's based on create date. So this was the most recent Sector Jacksonville discrepant aid. So I know our waterways management team uses this a lot to make determinations on, is something pre-existing, is it new, yada yada yada. There's also corrected aids too. You can see what the most recent corrected aids are as well. But there's opportunities like for this one where we have the vessel overlays on here. So from time to time you'll see a Tambi out here just hovering around this area, so like they're working on that aid. So that's kind of cool.
Bert, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
So from the district level, is there a way, as these COPs, if they get built out in all the different sectors, would there be a way for us at district to be able to see all of the other COPs? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, all of this, you could log on this right now and see it.
For Jacksonville, and then same thing if Miami had their own developed. And I think it's really useful even with the day-to-day ATON stuff, because we get questions all the time. So, yeah. But
then you can create your own experience builder like this, and you can just make tabs yourself. Like, you could just you could make this Sector Jacksonville ATON, and I can help you do that. That's easy breezy. So bridges. So this is our bridge builder. So it's taking information from US AIMS.
That's what I like about it.
Oh no, what happened? You can imagine there's a picture here of all the bridges, and it will filter out what bridges you're looking at in that view. These are all bridges that are good to go. These are all ones that are proposed, abandoned, demolished, da 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 da. So it just gives you a good operational sense of what's going on with all the bridges in the area. I'm gonna give it one refresh, give it one time, one chance. There we go. So with this one, we overlaid the FDOT districts. So you have a clear understanding of what FDOT district they're in. And we were able to take the spreadsheet that Waterways, the best information is like the department spreadsheets. So we were able to take that information and put that in here, so everybody has a view of the best, most recent contact information
POC.
for at least the RAOR. Derelict vessels is something that the command center uses, but it's pulling from 3 different sources. So this is the FWC derelict vessel. We have one for St. Johns County. It's a different way to access the information. And then of course the district derelict vessel log. But it's getting everything all in one place so that if you get a report of a derelict vessel, you can see if it's pre-existing or if it's new. Maritime firefighting zones. So does anybody know Captain EY?
Mm-hmm.
So she was like really big on this one. She was like, Bert, I challenge you with something. I'm like, oh man, here we go. Because she's always like within the realm of possibility. What's in the realm of possibility? So anyway, so she was like, well, can we take what's written on the piece of paper and put it in here, and then have a live map to feed that information so that we can take what's on the piece of paper and then have a real life situation. So what we did was we took the section from our air contingency plan, and let's just say firefighting zone B, and now it has all this information down here. But if we go to firefighting zone B, so now we have a snapshot of what's actually going on in that area, and all these red dots are the geographic response. I'm not a pollution person, but it's all those geographic response areas. So like this is boom. So this is going to tell you how much boom needs to be laid across here. All of these lines right here, this is what gets you to the PDFs for all those geographic response areas. I'm not a pollution guy, but it just gives you a real snapshot of what's going on so you can start making decisions. Regulated facilities, it's much of the same. The only thing that's kind of different is that we did outlines of all of our regulated facilities like you saw on MARSEC levels. But this is the PowerPoint that the facility shops use. So this is the most recent information. So this gets us a little bit closer to who we need to call, when we need to call them. This is just stuff we were playing around with, like right whales. I think by now you can probably get the idea of like the possibilities. So really it's just like what your vision is, what you would want is what type of information you need, and then how you visually want to see it. And then blending all those things together, you can create products. And again, I didn't have any background in this. This is our case view. So Sector Jacksonville uses our Sector Jacksonville Command Center uses ArcGIS to create surveys to log their cases. So this is just a clear view of what cases we have going on and what cases we have had in the last 7 days. Now, over the past few days I was here, I was seeing what was going on, and I was like twiddling my thumbs 2 nights ago, but I was like, tonight I'm gonna try to do some work. So I tried to come up with again, it starts with a vision. So I was just seeing what was going on with the ATON assets at District. And this is something like that can be tweaked, it can be modified, it can be whatever, but this was kind of like what I was seeing as a possible tool that you guys could use right now, because I sent it to Ms. Stevens, that you guys could use right now to present information. So basically what I did was I made icons for all the ATON vessels in District Southeast, which is what you see right here. And then on bottom right here is at some point I reached out to NOAA and Army Corps of Engineers, and I got their MMIS numbers for all their different assets. So as long as they're transmitting AIS, we would see them on this screen. So like right now, the OGA survey vessel, I don't know if that's a NOAA asset or an Army Corps asset, but they are at cut V38 doing whatever, going 8 knots. But you can only imagine like the possibilities here. Like if that was if we're like yesterday, for example, we said that the Murray Bray was going to go to Savannah or Jacksonville and then do Savannah, right? So this is being refreshed like every 2 minutes. So you could just passively sit here and see the Maria Bray getting underway and where they are, and then on top of that, you can add those layers like I'm talking about. So you got the light list, so you can see where they're at and see what aid they're working, and then on top of that, you have the cart information in here. So if this is red, we know that that's needs a unavailable, and you could just see them jotting to here and then doing their thing and then they're moving. So I think it creates opportunities for active viewing. Like I said, this other area right here. So I just threw an image that Miss Stevens had in here, but just like some of my other slides, this could be an Excel spreadsheet, and that Excel spreadsheet, we could put like a little button right here where you get to the spreadsheet and everybody shares that information, and you can just type in whatever, and then it will update on here. So those are the opportunities of ArcGIS. I am more than happy to help people get to the towards the right direction. Does anybody have any questions?